Greetings and welcome to Star Trek Discovery Pod, a sometimes funny, trying to be smart podcast covering all things new and classic Trek. Moopsie! I'm your captain, Myrriah Gossett, and with me on the view screen we have...
Papa! Yes, it actually makes more sense. Like when we were before written, that's right. Like when we were thinking of our intro, it's like the discussion was like, what happens? What's your Tuvix, Paul? And I go, well, if I was like Tuvixed with me and me, it would be Papa.
Papa.
So clever, right, everyone? Thank you for coming. Try the veal.
Clyde will be joining us in just a little bit. He's running just a little behind with a mission off the command center, off of the main deck of things. What's the bridge? The bridge. That's the term I'm looking for.
Oh, this is going to be an episode.
It's going to be a great episode, Paul. I don't know.
Yes, what I'm saying. It's going to be an episode. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be an episode.
Tonight we are reviewing and talking about all of season 4 of Star Trek Lower Decks, giving you our thoughts, opinions, diving into what we thought of the entire season, some character arcs, all of the things. A couple of news points is that we found out Star Trek Prodigy will be hitting Netflix on Christmas on December 25th. So Merry Christmas to Trekkies.
So
everywhere.
So we won't go as long without Star Trek as we thought we were because of the
strike.
Well,
it's just the first season is dropping on Netflix, not the second season.
Then it's going to be as long as we thought it was going to be.
Yes.
So we're going to need some ideas for episodes, everyone. So please feel free to write and
let us know. Yeah. I think it would be fun to do a full rewatch of Discovery and prep for the last season. Is my thought, but let us know.
That's 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The 30? No, a little about around there. Anyway.
A little bit more because some seasons had a little bit more than 10, but yeah.
Okay. 40-ish.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. We might double up on some. But yes, just a few reminders tonight. If you are joining us live or if you're just listening, you can listen, subscribe, and share this podcast. Most importantly, that share function on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. You can visit StarTrekPod.co and just send that to a friend as well if you prefer, and then they can find us on their preferred listening device. And if you enjoy seeing us live, and want to hang out with us some more or just hang out with us anytime, you can join us at the Patreon at patreon.com/StarTrekPod. And Paul, how can people interact with us live tonight in the chat?
Oh, this is rough because Clyde, you normally do this, but I'm supposed to remind the listeners that if you're watching us tonight on YouTube, please participate in the live chat. And if you want to make a comment or a question for us to address during the pod, just type POD in all caps before your comment, and we'll see it. And something about hot frakes HF, but like it's not written here, so like I'm drowning.
This, you like got I said, it, Paul. You made it. You made it the whole way through.
I did it. I'm a big boy now.
Yes, you can do it off script. I believe in you. Kuhn told us it's 51 Discovery episodes.
Okay.
So we might need to double up if we're going to make it to cover all of them in time.
Like I still want Clyde to go through Enterprise. So like I think
actually we've been corrected again. 55 episodes.
Okay. Well, so be it. Make it so.
Make it so. But Paul, you were not here for the finale, so I thought I would just ask you if you had any hang on. I know what we'll do. We have a special solo edition of What was your hot break of the finale?
The finale was good enough. It was. I thought it was. We'll talk more about it as the seasonal whole. I think an episode as itself, I thought it was fine. I felt like there was such a buildup for what it was going to be. I don't know if it paid off. I also want to apologize to all the Patreon watchers who decided to watch me watch my live stream of my reaction of the video. I did not know that Myrriah was going to do that.
What did you think I was going to do?
I thought you're going to cut something like, oh, here's Paul's reaction, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think you're going to, have people pay for it. I apologize.
Well,
Uh,
to my defense, you never like at the end went, here's like my thoughts and opinions of this. You gave me like 2 sentences at the end of the watch. So I said, let's just watch along with Paul.
I mean, like, I think I picked a fairly unflattering camera angle, and I know that there are many to choose from, but I felt like I picked top 5%. So it's a premium bad camera angle of me just watching like, huh, ooh, for a half hour like that. That's yeah. Anyway, my apologies, everyone.
It was the extended unedited cut.
Oh,
But we did it.
complete pivot, like, just a shameless cheap plug, like, that we've mentioned before that I'm a movie person and I produce a film. It's on VOD now, so if you want to
Oh
check it
yeah.
out, it's American-ish. Like, if Clyde were here, he saw it in the theater and he said it was adequate.
I think he
No,
said he
he
liked it.
he really liked it. He really liked it. So, like, yeah, American-ish. It's on like Apple, Google, uh Amazon, Voodoo. I guess people watch Voodoo, whoever uses Voodoo,
Yeah,
all around the world too. So, like, if you're in Singapore or like Bangladesh, I guess you could watch that as well. So that's kind of
that's great.
neat. Yeah,
Everybody buy or rent it so Paul can get like his 0.25 portion of a penny per rental.
exactly, exactly. So tomorrow I can buy my insulin.
Oh
No,
gosh.
I'm not diabetic, but that's always been my joke. But anyway, yay,
Yay,
Star
so
Trek.
that you can survive. Yay, survival and capitalism. We're making it through. We do not yet
Oh,
live in a
oh,
post capitalist society. But yes, Paul, what were you gonna say?
oh, there are people who actually watched along with me.
Yeah, there's comments on the Patreon of people who watched along.
Oh God. Okay, cool, cool.
Yeah, everyone
Okay,
had a
yeah,
great time with it, Paul.
great, great.
Um, okay, let's jump in and start talking about this season as a whole. And we're going to go ahead and start with some messages from the menagerie. I'm
Menagerie.
going to make a video
We need,
here.
yeah, a graphic or something. Yep, yep.
Yeah, I'm going to make something. Now that we have a little bit of downtime, I can potentially make something. But let's see. Carmen says season 4 of Lower Decks is a pleasure to watch. It may be the best season so far. It's a love letter to Trek fans, and it is always funny and fast paced. The character development this season was great. I'm looking forward to season 5 and learning more about Tendi and leaving the self sabotaging version of Mariner behind. Paul, you want to take the
Word,
next one?
word. Yeah, Karen Chu. Season 4 seems to be kind of maturing, kind of the maturing of Lower Decks. There are a lot of other seasons with episodes I find more clever, but not one was disappointing. And the 2-part finale was everything I could ask for: satisfying, sweet, funny, revealing, and affirming. The season as a whole was probably the best by far.
And then Kuhn says season 4 was great. It showed you can promote the gang and still maintain the spirit of the show. Also, I would have never in a million years thought the villain of the season would be Nick Locarno. I'm happy we'll get something on Evil Boimler in season 5, or I'm hoping we get something on Evil Boimler season
Like,
5.
I have a little, like, evil Boimler sounds like, really judgmental. Because I want to see alt Boimler. That's how evil seems like. He's Section 31, so he's for the greater good, right?
I mean, what if so? Uh, what if they bring back Jack Quaid to play Evil Boimler in the Section 31 movie with Michelle Yeoh?
Oh, that would be hot.
It would be
That'd be
great,
hot.
right? I
Yeah,
would be
but
into
like,
that.
yeah, no, no. But yeah, like, I mean, the last time we saw Thomas Boimler, whatever his name, whatever,
Mhm.
like, he did have that maniacal laugh. So
And
maybe, like I guess, is Section 31 evil? What do you think? Yay or
I mean, they feel like a version of our CIA or FBI, so I want to say yes. So,
there we go. There we go. There's Myrriah.
but TBD, I don't know. I've seen them
But,
do some things that really ride the line. I'll say that.
well, I mean, they definitely ride the line, but that's what they're for, right?
Yeah, I mean, I
So
guess so.
yeah, so like yeah. Anyway, one last person, Home Cheeky. I love the season more than any previous. The crossover with Strange New Worlds lead up to the season was amazing as well. LDS is maturing in a way that I didn't expect from us. From from a this style of show. Bravo. Heart,
Bravo.
live long and prosper.
Huzzah.
I need
Sparkles.
huzzah. Sparkles.
Okay. I think it's now time for you and I to give our seasonal hot breaks. Seasonal hot breaks. I feel like for me, this each season, I feel like things get stronger. I feel like the jokes get stronger. I feel like the
Oh, oh,
characterizations get stronger.
uh,
And
well,
then, yeah,
I don't want to jump in. Just one another aside. Okay,
yeah,
Clyde will be joining us. If
Clyde will be
everyone can
joining.
just put peanut when the moment Clyde goes on it, everyone just fill it with peanut hamper, peanut hamper, peanut hamper. What about peanut hamper? Like Clyde, what about peanut? If you could just fill the chat with that, I would really appreciate it. Thank
Okay,
you. All
noted.
right, go.
um, I yeah, I feel like this season there are I feel like I probably most relate to Karen in that like are there other episodes that I've like enjoyed more from other seasons, but I feel like this season to me was very strong. I like seeing character growth. I feel like we're moving in a really interesting direction. I'm really excited for next season. I feel like a lot of the lore, internal lore of the show has paid off in some really fun ways with things like Badgie and Peanut Hamper this season, while also still paying homage to some original Trek. And I'm really excited by the addition of Talin. I really enjoy Gabrielle Ruiz, so I'm glad she's in our cast. And yeah, I rewatched a couple of episodes today, and they all still made me laugh. So I rewatched Tuvix. I rewatched the Orion episode with Twin Twains, which
Between
still
Queens.
I still
Myrriah,
love.
you are a something 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 something.
You
Like,
are just a crumb in my whisker biscuit.
no, yeah,
Yeah.
I like. I don't know. Like, Mariah and I were talking earlier about this, and like season 3 and season 4 did something different than season 1, 2, which is they implanted the long arc type thing,
Hmm.
with the Texas class in season 3, and in this case, Locarno in season 4. And in season 3, I thought it paid off really well to paralleling what everyone's going through. And for me, like I think episode per episode, I think the quality was very, very high.
Hmm.
You know, but like I don't know if the big arc paid off in the same way that I would have liked.
Mm.
Because Locarno's problem is not necessarily everyone else's problem. It's very thinly connected to Mariner, but it very thinly to me. So that was my only gripe. I mean, like it's like it's like going to a really high end buffet where everything is good, but like you when you construct your meal, like the meal's progression isn't great because all
The
the
chef
pieces are
didn't
so good.
figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my hot freak. Like, I'm a jerk. Everyone hates me. I'll go now. Click.
No, I think I can see where you're going with that in that, but I also can see from their perspective of like, I think if they had decided to make Peanut Hamper or Badgie or someone from the internal lore, the big
Hmm.
ended up being the big bad of the season, it would have felt too obvious, right? Because from the
Sure, sure.
beginning,
No.
we were making all those assumptions. And I
Yeah,
do
yeah,
think the twist was a twist I never would have expected. So
yeah. No,
the surprise and delight were very high for me this season.
definitely, definitely. Like I would never guess Locarno, and I
Yeah.
I think that was beautiful. I wish that it reflected something in one of probably Mariner's, but someone's arc. Like Mariner was listless, right? Because she had to grow up, and
Mhm.
Locarno isn't like he was stuck not growing up. He's just pissed because he was robbed for all lack of purposes. Anyway, that's just my
Um, Yeah, no, valid. I thought we would go through our what was our core four, but now we're core five of our
yeah,
lower deckers and kind of talk about their seasonal arcs, and then we can dig into some of the upper deckers, and then we'll
upper
kind of jump
deckers.
into what we think or we would like to see in season five. So I figured we'd start with our newest one, which is Talin. I
Uh,
rewatched the um, and empathological fallacies episode, which is the
Hmm.
one where her emotions is causing everyone to go crazy when they thought it was Zendy fever. It's still that one still makes me laugh a lot.
Yeah, no, it's great.
It's
It's
a great
great.
episode, and I really enjoyed Talin's arc this season a lot. From the first episode to the last
Hmm.
episode, I think she has a very satisfying arc.
Yeah, no, I think like it reminds me of Parks and Rec, where like they brought in like Adam Scott and
Mhm.
Rob
Rob
Lowe,
Lowe.
and
Mhm.
they rebalanced it so that uh like season 2 they were floundering, and then they go, oh, you know what we need a straight man,
Mhm.
and the straight man became Adam Scott, and I feel like they added Lynn as the straight man, and it's really rounding it out in a way that I think is really good.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's been fun to see because we were introduced to her in season two, at the end of season two,
Hmm.
during the Pack-Leds fight, and I think it's been really nice to see them bring back a character that I think a lot of people enjoyed and brought her back in a very smart way, um, and seeing her as kind of this interesting. I mean, I know we always compare all of our Vulcans to Spock, but I do find the humor to be very similar to the humorous relationship between Spock and Kirk from the original series, in my mind, the way that Tallinn interacts with the rest of our kind of core cast.
Word.
Live long and prosper. Yeah, so Tallinn's great. And then moving to, I feel like Rutherford probably had the least character development this season, but we did get quite a lot from him last season with the
Hmm.
development of Badgie and his
Sure. Yeah.
fatherhood to Badgie. And then also we had the storyline of his implants in past seasons. So I feel like he's gotten a fair amount of character development in seasons past, but I don't know if we saw as much from him this season.
Yeah, I think he like you only have so much space, right?
Yeah.
Like I think Boimler didn't get a lot of space this season
Hmm.
either. Uh, but but I think that's fine because like sometimes like you watch Friends if if you're old enough to watch Friends, and sometimes it like sometimes it was very Ross and Rachel focused, and then it
Hmm.
became Monica and Chandler focused, and
Right.
it's just the way the universe moves, the
Yeah.
constellations move. Yeah,
The seasonal ebb and flows. Yeah.
yeah.
And it's been nice to see. I mean, this season really was like kind of Tillin, Mariner, and Tendi,
Mhm,
which
absolutely.
was a nice combo. And I really enjoyed the Orion episode. I think one of the most. I just think like beat for beat has some really solid jokes. And also because we've never seen an Orion planet in that way, it was
Sure.
also very satisfying as a Trek fan.
Yeah, yeah, no, and I think every time we see Tendi like show more than just the hi, I'm happy, I'm so excited to be here. Oh my god, like when you
Mhm.
see more of that layering, you go like, oh, she's really one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, and like her ability to think like a few steps ahead of everything, I thought was really interesting in
Mhm,
that particular episode. Like she already knew to come with like the antidote to the pheromones, and
mhm,
like she came ready for all of the bar fights, and like uh seeing how she was trying to both like protect her family and her culture, but also in turn protect herself and the reputation that she's built. And I thought it was a really sweet moment when we get like Mariner being like, "No, we know who you are, and like
mhm,
you don't have to hide your past for us to not,
sure,
like we're going to believe you for who you are."
yeah,
It was really
and
nice.
and Tendi for all of it is probably the most capable captain.
Hmm.
In that way where she's level headed, like as far as like just a Starfleet style non-rogue captain, she's
Hmm.
level headed, she's a quick thinker, and she can karate, and and she's smart in all the ways that everyone needs to be I remember like in the penultimate episode when the Klingons were about to blow up the shuttle, she's the one who beamed them off to the planet.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was like, okay, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. Like Teddy goes, boop, boop, like
we're out.
boom.
Yeah.
So I mean, like she does that a lot, like So she's quickly becoming. I would say she's probably the character. She might not be my favorite character, but she's the character I'm most interested in right now.
Yeah, and I think it's probably because at this point, up until this season, she was the one we really got the least amount of backstory on.
Sure, sure.
And I think because she is an Orion and they have such a like huge place in like the lore of Trek that
Sure,
it
sure.
becomes a point of fascination,
Mhm.
especially because there is like, it's like up until this season, anytime we've kind of had interactions with the Orions, it's filled with like all of the tropes of the Orions, and Tendy's having to push back on that. And so we finally got, I think, a much more multifaceted look at her and Orion culture, which I really enjoyed.
Sure, sure. No, love it, love it.
Okay, before we move on to Boimler and Mariner, kind of our core two, I wanted to go back and just mention that I I've seen like on Twitter, like folks talking about how like Tawny Newsome is setting up to be our new like um Frakes in some ways because now she's writing on Academy. She's been
Mhm.
on Strange New Worlds. She's the lead
Is she writing
on
on? Is she writing on Academy?
she is writing on Academy.
Oh, awesome. Good for
Um
her.
which I'm really excited about. And I think everyone's like, oh, this is like our generation's Frake. And I was like, I'm really excited about that. As Tawny Newsome as a whole person. And I
Well,
hope we get
do you
them
have you
inserted
seen
into everything.
the? Do you know does Tani? Can she grow a beard?
I mean, I feel like she would rock a beard
Okay.
if you gave her one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So,
don't know
so,
if
so
I don't know if she can grow one, but I think if you put a false beard on her, she would
sure,
she
sure.
would yeah.
If someone, I'm not very good with the photoshops, but if someone had the
Can
Photoshop skills and knew that,
can
it just
Riker
lets.
Riker
That,
Mariner.
that's right. And then we'll change our hot breaks to hot Newsome.
Hot news. But yeah, I'm really excited and I would love to see more, yeah, like all of our lower deck crew in more franchises in whatever they want them to do.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so Boimler, like you were saying, Paul, has not had, I don't think, I mean, we got to see him sit in the captain's chair, and I think probably see there's the episode where he's like learning that he has to delegate, which I
Mhm.
I
Sure,
fully identified with.
sure, sure. No, no. I've seen you not delegate. You're
Yeah,
good.
I'm
It
very
works.
good.
You're very good. You're very good.
um, but yeah, what
I,
did you
I,
think of Boimler's arc this season?
like we had a little hint in the beginning, right? Where basically he's dealing with like, oh, I'm lieutenant junior grade now, so like
Hmm.
so you could see him deal with that one thing, but after that, he's just being Boimler.
Yeah,
Like I don't think he grew anything. I don't think he progressed emotionally or career wise, and that's not even a bad thing. Like I think the best part was when he was in the captain's chair in the finale, and he didn't mess up.
yeah.
He didn't mess up, and he sounded good for the 5 seconds that he was in the chair. So good for him.
Yeah. I mean, he did have a bit of like, if you go back to the Tuvix episode, I feel like the Tuvix episode kind of mirrors his journey for the whole season. Like they really just
Mhm.
set it up in that one episode where he goes from learning he's going to get a promotion to putting a lot of doubt on himself because he's like, you know, uh, Ransom is like, well, you'll get this as long as you don't mess up. And so then that just rang in his head for the entirety of the episode that they're running around on Voyager,
Sure.
which again, such a, a, a
Our trick of your heart.
Star Trek of my heart, and also just like the weirdest references they could have pulled from
Yeah.
Voyager.
Now let's
Um,
pick the deepest cuts we can.
yes. Um, so it was nice to see them kind of set it up there, and then like we get him eventually in the captain's chair. So it wasn't like a complicated story arc for him this season,
Sure.
but it definitely had a few peaks and valleys.
Sure. Sure.
Um,
And last
okay.
but not least,
And last but not least, we have our Mariner, who definitely had the most peaks and valleys this season. I'd say quite a few valleys, I think, much to some people's dismay. I know that was kind of a sticking point throughout the season
mhm,
that we've heard from some listeners is that
mhm.
they thought Mariner backslid quite a bit this season. What did you think about that?
Like so, like my away mission, last week was at a 12-day, 10-day silent retreat, and so this is in real life, and I have to say, like, being not talky and like in the middle of nowhere for 10 days, you can get unregulated. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I felt like that's how Mariner was this season.
Hmm.
She was unregulated and she kept on like swinging, like, really, I'm responsible. Like, I'm going to be irresponsible. No, I'm not really irresponsible. Now I'm going to be whatever, whatever, whatever. And I think pre my, what you call it, my exile, I, I would have gone like, oh, this is hard for me to watch because it doesn't feel, I can't grasp this. But post exile, I go like, oh, I guess I can see how when you're confronted with a certain reality about yourself, how you can become unregulated in that way.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
it's not always that like you have insight in yourself, like, oh, I'm going to grow up now. I'm like, it's like I imagine there are times when people are, and I'm not a parent, but like you go like, oh, I'm going to be a mom, I'm going to be a dad, and they start freaking out. It isn't like they focus immediately. It's like, oh crap, what do I do? I better go, like, go drink now, and like, and get all the it get like just lose their marbles in that way. And I feel like Mariner was in that mode, and without the without it was hard for me to watch in that way because it
Hmm.
felt like black backsliding. But I think that is actually what people do, right? When they level up, sometimes, especially before they're ready, they
Hmm.
kind of freak out.
Well, yeah, it's also like I'm sure she's known she is capable of all of these things, but it's like that internal conflict I think for her was messy, and I think it's relatable, like to your point. I was recently talking to a friend who said like when she's kind of at her lowest, she kind of shoots for the stars, but in very like dramatic and weird ways. So like she was like, oh yeah, when I'm like feeling a mess about my career, I just apply to a bunch of reality TV shows as a contestant. And so you're
There you
just
go.
like, oh, yeah, this is how this works. It's like, I don't know what's going on in my life. What could provide weird structure and stress, but in a way that is validating. Let's go for
Yeah.
this.
No, no. It's tough. It's tough. Like, I guess, like, being so just like so Vulcan-ish that I am, like, I didn't have that unregulated, like, because I just keep leveling up and going higher and higher and better in a straight line.
Hmm.
No, no, that's not me.
I was like,
I'm more of a
uh-huh, sure, Paul.
I'm more of a moopsie path. Like, I just eat and get bigger and bigger.
Um, yeah, I feel like that was the other character I should have written on this list was they've maybe given us one of the best things that I immediately need in every form of merchandise this season, which is Moopsie. Um, yeah, I feel like Lower Decks is really great at finding strange ways to give us anthropomorphized creatures.
It's
Um,
strange. It's strange new merch.
Strange new merch. Oh, but don't shh. I need like a drum sound effect there. Um, but yeah, between like Peanut Hamper and Badgie and Moopsie, I mean, I know it's controversial, like the episode last season where it's Peanut Hamper on that planet with like the owl people.
Hmm.
But I love when Lower Decks swings for the strangest offenses. And to me, that was Moopsie this season. And I feel like they really hit it out of the park.
There you go. Like, Mariah bait.
Yeah, totally Myrriah bait. If you had to pick an episode from this season as your fave, which one?
Orion, like Attendee
Yeah.
goes to Orion, like, but it's not even close. It's just
Something
so
borrowed,
good.
something green. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good
The
for me. Two Vicks is the closest. After
yeah.
that, yeah.
Tuvix is pretty great. Something borrowed, something green is great. I feel like and empathological fallacies is also up there for me. Um, but
As
yeah,
but
something borrowed and something green.
as far as like Star Trek episodes, though, the best one I think is Caves.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like
Because like it's one of those things that like this is a love letter to the fans.
yeah.
Like it's gonna work if you just walk in and you're gonna go, "Oh, okay, that's the thing." But if you're a fan and you spend like X number of decades watching Star Trek, it's gonna pay off in a way that you go like, "Oh, I am seen."
Mhm.
I am seen, and you have like there's a group of people out there who will go like, "Oh, this is just so gut wrenching on the floor, phaser set to kill funny for things that aren't really funny. Like, oh, let's take an episode that takes place in a cave. Isn't that funny? Not for the reasons you think.
Not for the reasons you think. But when you do it over and over and over again,
Yeah.
um, it was yeah, it was so great. And like the Rutherford becoming a weird father with Dr. Tahana was very weird and strange and funny. And we got to see, Boimler kind of come into, his abilities in that one, right? Like that was
Hmm.
kind of our peek into him getting past his inabilities to delegate. And then I thought it was one of my favorite Mariner moments as well, where we kind of got to see her shine. And so I think it was like, I do wonder if Caves for them was a bit of a floating episode and they kind of
Hmm.
knew they could put it where they needed it
Sure, sure. Yep,
in the
yep.
season, because it did feel like, I will say, a little bit of a whiplash to see Mariner kind of really confident in herself and then immediately go back to
Unregulated.
unregulated, yeah, versus like I feel like if I had seen it maybe before the Ferengi
Sure.
episode, but it was like a very nice feel good. So I got it because like the Ferengi episodes where we really see her spiraling kind of
Hmm.
hit the
Yeah,
hardest
yeah.
um, this season. And then we had some really great moments with our upper deckers this season as well. I thought Captain Freeman has a really lovely arc this season where we really see how capable she is and how uniquely qualified she is and how she's also always thinking a few steps ahead in the same way that I think we can see in Tendi.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I enjoyed her. The computer meltdown episode was very funny.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
I liked her on the Star Trek world, on like
Mhm.
like I think where she was like, oh yeah, they're never gonna give us the info, so
Oh, the
let's
bounty hunter world, yes.
exactly. So yeah, so like that, I don't think I see Friedman like slick like that very often. Like
Mhm.
you see her. It's like Malcolm in the Middle, where the grown-ups are the doofuses, the D5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then well, I was gonna say in her negotiations with Rom, we also saw her really be, slick.
yeah, 100%, 100%. Yes, right. Like like just capable in a way. We go, oh, that's why she's captain, as
Yeah.
opposed to like all the admirals kind of suck. They're
Yeah.
for whatever reason, once you get promoted to
A lot
admiral,
of failed
you
up into admiral. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. But okay, whatever. Not everything is utopia.
Um, yeah, and then we got like a couple of really funny moments, I think, from Dr. Tahana this season, from our therapist, the
Hmm.
flippity flappity fisticuffs,
Hmm.
voiced by Paul F. Tompkins, was just chef's kiss. Really enjoyed that. And then I'm trying to Ransom, I think, was also very surprising this
Hmm.
season. I thought it was like a nice growth of that character for us to really see him as, I think, a very capable number one.
I think a lot of people have mentioned this. Like people are maturing in the
Mhm.
the characters are maturing.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about cartoons and like, oh, the
Yeah.
people are mature, but the characters are really. I don't think they need to be leaning in as as the characters as tropes as much as now they are real, fully, like I won't say fully realized characters, but like
They're
it's
rounded
not
out, you know?
exactly in that aspect where most TV shows, if they get to season 3, is when they hit their stride. I feel like we're at 3, and 3 was very a good season for me.
Mhm.
4 is, I feel like it's hitting its stride as far as like the writers know who these characters are, and they're writing in terms that not only have them be who they are consistently, but like who they would evolve to become.
Yeah, like, you can very clearly see their trajectories in some ways. Um, and I really enjoyed, Shax in the episode, um, with, I think I guess, is it Something Bard? No. It's in Anthropological Fallacies when, Boimler is kind of really stressing out and goes in for his slam poetry, puzzles,
Mhm.
and tarot card with Shax, and
Sure.
I thought it was nice to see a security officer who so often is portrayed in Trek as like this very stoic and like, serious character to have these
Stoic
kind
might
of,
not Stoic might not be the right word. I don't think
not
Shaq
for
is ever
Shax,
stoic.
yeah, but other security
That's right. That's
officers.
right. That's right.
But
But serious, yeah.
yeah, we got to see some I like there's like the line of like what is security without mental health, and I thought it was like a very profound like
Sure,
line. I was like,
sure,
oh,
sure.
okay, comedy show, I see what you're doing,
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
I have to like rewind. Like my favorite moment of the season was Boimler going to his room, and it's all red light.
Oh God.
And
The Boimler Goldilocks room
that
sequence.
that that I lost my mind, and I still think about that, and I can't stop internally laughing.
And
It's
then he
just like,
just comes in and beeps that little like shield on the
yeah,
window.
it's just so just like classic comedy in a
It's
way
very
that
sitcom-y trope, but it was like fun to see.
yeah, what's really funny was that it's so basic, but like it was so in Star Trek.
Yeah.
It was like classic and in our world as well. So anyway, blah blah blah. Good
That's what
season.
we're,
Like,
we're on a podcast, Paul. You're supposed to blah blah blah.
yeah, well, blah 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 indeed. Miggly mo, miggly mo, miggly mo.
Make me mo, make me mo. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll get Clyde to maybe write up something, y'all. He apologizes for not making it in, but we'll get him in here some other time. Family things happen. But what do you want to see in season 5?
Like, I want to see a worthwhile growth of Mariner, because I don't know where she goes to next. I like,
Mhm.
like I think of where I can see where everyone else can go to. Like Rutherford will probably come to realize that he is in love with Tendi. Like,
Mhm.
uh and so that's fine. And Tendi is going to find herself more self-possessed. Not only I can be, you know, mistress of the winter constellation and chief science
Mhm.
officer slash captain, blah 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 blah. Like that's going to be simple. Boimler will become more confident, and then he'll probably have a something that will shatter his confidence, and then he'll have to reconfidence again. But Mariner, I have no idea where they'll go with
Mhm.
her. Like I like you've already gone through the rebel phase,
Mhm.
only because she has to be consistent, right? She has to still play Mariner,
Mhm.
but like where does that go now? Where you're like, okay, you're the you're the good rebel now. So now you're Kirk.
Right.
Well, now you're stuck, right? Like you don't grow anymore, but everyone else is growing around you. That
Mm.
might be fine too, though. Like, because like in like like I think Janeway, maybe is there a captain that grows? Like, Kirk doesn't really grow.
Right.
Picard doesn't really grow.
Well, I
And
think there's like growth in their professional lives and then there's growth
yeah,
in their personal lives, right?
yeah,
Like, and I think Picard and Janeway to me have the most like personal growth stories that are
yeah,
kind of revolved around their interpersonal connections.
sure, okay, sure, like, I get that. Like, in some ways, like, I'm worried that Mariner is fully baked. So,
Mm,
or like as baked it. So that's what I want to see. I want to see what they come up with
mhm,
before, because like, for all of it, had she played her cards differently, she would be an upper decker now. She would
right.
actually be ransom, if not captain. So, because like in Star Trek and Starfleet, like they'll give the ship to anyone who is talented. You know, don't worry about the time. Like,
Yeah.
so, like it's like when Chris Pine Pike gets, I'm gonna get, oh, you just
Yeah.
graduated Starfleet. Here's the ship.
Yeah.
Ba-bow. So don't worry about
You're
that.
Picard's son. Come on the ship.
Talk about nepotism. OMG.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's a good point, Paul. I hadn't really thought about like where is Mariner going because I think I'm just excited about like the Tendi possibilities next
Mhm.
season,
Sure.
seeing more from T'Lyn, and so I think it is smart that they are like trying to round out the stories of the other folks. But yeah, like is Mariner going to become more of a supportive like character, which I
Mhm.
doubt. So it is like what do they want to see her growth in, and I kind of think back to the flashback episode of when they had her at the academy as like a young cadet and you saw
Mhm.
how kind of young and overly eager she was, and like
Mhm.
is there a way for that Mariner to come out more in this more experienced rebellious Mariner?
Maybe, but I think they have the same problem in Strange New World with Pike. Like,
Right.
Pike is like kind of fully baked. Not like both literally and like in the future physically.
um he lives a life that works for him.
Yeah.
um but I do wonder, we had like a love storyline with Mariner a bit with uh
The Andorian.
the Andorian, Jennifer. Get
Uh-huh.
out of the way, Jennifer. um and so I wonder if there's a way to kind of like pick that back up of like what is her interpersonal growth going to look
Sure.
like now
Maybe,
that she
maybe,
is
maybe
more
that
stable.
like, yeah, no. I got you. I see that.
Hmm, hmm.
So that's what about you, Mariah? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, all the Tendi storyline, very much looking
Mhm.
forward to that. I'm also excited about T'Lyn and where she's kind of heading. I'm interested in the will they, won't they between Rutherford and Tendi and seeing where they decide to take that. And I'm excited to see if they kind of, I don't know if did you ever watch Grey's Anatomy? Were you a Grey's Anatomy person at all?
I was not. Is that
Um,
show about like anatomy?
it's a show about doctors,
Oh, okay.
famously.
Like, is it black and white
um,
or is it just gray?
it's just gray.
Uh,
But there's the season. So, like that show starts out with everyone, you're following the interns as they work their
uh-huh.
way up, right? And so then
Sure, sure. Yep.
eventually you get to the
The residents,
season,
right?
the residents,
The,
right? Where
yeah,
they're
yeah.
then having to deal with the interns. And so I'm wondering if we get the introduction of a new set of lower deckers that are kind of,
Like, I mean,
uh,
that would be really slick if they could accomplish that. I think.
yeah,
I really like, so it becomes like Lower Decks actually becomes a soap opera.
yeah. Like that you just
I
like bring in the new
yeah, yeah.
cast.
It would be
But what
really
could
slick if
be
they could do this,
and if I were them, what would be funny is if it's all voiced by the same people.
and they all sound the same.
Potentially. Yeah.
Eh,
It's like,
like, no,
but then you like swap it around. So like the Mariner of the group is like an Andorian, and like,
sure, sure, sure,
you
yeah,
figure
no,
that
no.
out.
We'll,
I don't know. Could
we'll
be
probably
funny.
see something like that in Academy.
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
really hoping that I hope it's good.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a
I,
little teen soapy, which I'm not mad at because it's from a lot of the same folks who did a lot of the CW kind of. They
sure.
did like Nancy Drew and those shows. So
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool.
I think it'll be interesting. But alas, we don't have timelines on a lot of our new Trek besides when Prodigy season one is hitting Netflix, and then everything else is just set for early 2024 for the second season of Prodigy, which I'm looking forward to. Anything else, Paul?
I think in the end, like I think I think Lower Decks is probably the most consistent new Trek that
Yeah,
there is.
I
Like
would agree
where
with that.
where I go, like every episode, I know I'm going to be happy. You walk out where you go like, oh, I can't even think of an episode where I go like they messed up. I can't think of one.
Yeah.
Like
I know some people would argue the peanut hamper owl episode, but I love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I think it might be because it doesn't require, because if it's a comedy, it doesn't require that much. Like you get more latitude, but like for whatever
Right.
reason, I just think of the finale of third season where like you're one ship, you can't stop the Texas class, and then I
Mhm.
know that's why I call it California class, and and here comes the San Clemente or the blah blah blah
Yeah.
and blah blah blah, and I literally, as much as my positronic brain would allow, I almost teared. It was so touching and ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so touchingly ridiculous.
I feel like touchingly ridiculous is like probably the best description of Lower Decks.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Okay, y'all, we know it's late. We appreciate the live viewers, and if you're listening, we appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for subscribing. Don't forget to share the show. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We appreciate those. It helps other people find the show. Visit StarTrekPod.co for links to everywhere you can find the show, share the show, and to our Patreon. You can also, if you are listening to us or watching, down below, there's a link to our merch. If you want a sweet, sweet Hot Freaks merch or some sweet mathematically perfect peanut hamper merch, you can check that out too. You can follow
Oh,
us.
it's daylight savings. That's why everyone's tired.
Yeah, daily. It's been dark for so long.
Yeah, yeah,
It's too long. I hate how early it gets,
yeah, yeah.
how dark it gets so early. But you can follow us on X for the moment at Star Trek Pod. We will see you all soon. We'll keep you updated on the social medias of when we'll be back, but it'll probably be in the next 2 weeks. But after the fall November holidays. So live long and prosper, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.